New York, New York, a city that has always been a beacon of hope, a symbol of human achievement, and a testament to the indomitable spirit of its inhabitants. The city's so nice, they named it twice. The Big Apple, a place where dreams are born and ambitions are realized. The heartbeat of America, the capital of the world, a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and innovations. A city that never sleeps, always alive with energy and excitement. A place where dreams are made of, and if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. The streets are paved with stories of triumph and struggle, of love and loss. But what happens when the music stops, the lights go out, and the city that never sleeps finally closes its eyes? When the vibrant pulse of life is silenced and the bustling streets fall eerily quiet? What happens to the dreams that once soared high above the skyline? What becomes of the aspirations that fueled the city's relentless drive? What happens to the people who once called this place home? The millions of souls who walk these streets, each with their own story to tell. This is the story of New York after the apocalypse. A tale of a city that has fallen into silence, its once vibrant heart now a ghostly echo of its former self. We all have our favorite images of post-apocalyptic fiction. The desolate landscapes, the crumbling buildings, the remnants of a world that once was. Mad Max, Waterworld, The Walking Dead. These stories captivate our imagination, showing us a world stripped of its comforts and certainties. But what about the day after, the year after? When the initial shock has worn off and the survivors must face the reality of their new world? What about 100 years after, when nature has begun to reclaim the concrete jungle and the remnants of civilization are buried beneath layers of time and decay? How do you rebuild when every instruction manual has turned to ash? When the knowledge of the past is lost and the future is uncertain? More importantly, how do you rebuild when you don't even know if anyone else is out there? When the world feels empty and hope is a distant memory? Our story begins not in the bomb shelters or the panicked moments after the bombs fell, but generations later, when the dust has settled and the world has moved on. The world as we know it is gone, wiped clean by an unknown catastrophe. In its place stands a New York City that is both familiar and eerily alien. In its place stands a New York City that is both familiar and eerily alien. The skyscrapers still pierce the sky, but now they are draped in vines. The glass eyes of empty windows staring out at a world reclaimed by nature. The skyscrapers still pierce the sky, but now they are draped in vines. The glass eyes of empty windows staring out at a world reclaimed by nature. The streets, once filled with the hustle and bustle of daily life, are now silent and overgrown. Join us now as we journey into the heart of this forgotten New York, a city that has been left to the elements, its secrets buried beneath the rubble. Let us uncover the secrets buried beneath the rubble, the stories whispered on the wind, and the echoes of a civilization lost but not forgotten. We will explore the remnants of a world that once was and the traces of humanity that still linger. This is a tale of survival, of resilience, and of the enduring spirit of humanity, even in the face of unimaginable loss. It is a story of hope, of finding light in the darkest of times, and of the unbreakable bond that ties us to our past, even as we forge a new future. To understand New York after the apocalypse, we must first understand New York before it. This city was a living, breathing entity, a place where dreams were born and destinies were forged. It was a city that thrived on its own energy, a pulsating heart that never seemed to rest. This was a city that thrived on its own energy. The streets were always alive, filled with the hustle and bustle of people from all walks of life, from the early morning joggers in Central Park to the late-night revelers in the clubs of the meatpacking district. New York was a city that never slept, a place where 8 million stories intertwined every day, creating a complex and vibrant tapestry of human experience. Each person added their own unique thread to the fabric of the city, contributing to its rich and diverse culture. It was a symphony of human noise and ambition, a cacophony of voices and sounds that created a unique and unmistakable soundtrack. The honking of taxis, the chatter of pedestrians, the distant wail of sirens, all these sounds blended together to form the music of the city. New York was a global center of finance, fashion, art, and culture. Wall Street was the beating heart of the financial world, while the city's fashion shows set the trends that the rest of the world would follow. Art galleries and cultural events showcased the creativity and talent of its residents, making New York a hub of innovation and inspiration. But at its heart, it was a city of neighborhoods, each with its own unique flavor and rhythm. From the historic brownstones of Brooklyn Heights to the modern skyscrapers of Midtown, each neighborhood had its own distinct character and charm. From the bustling streets of Chinatown, where the aroma of exotic spices filled the air, to the elegant brownstones of Brooklyn Heights, where tree-lined streets offered a peaceful retreat from the city's chaos. From the vibrant energy of Times Square, with its dazzling lights and constant activity, to the tranquil paths of Central Park, where one could find a moment of serenity amidst the urban jungle. New York was a city of contrasts. It was a place where luxury and simplicity coexisted, where the old and the new blended seamlessly. The city's diversity was its strength, creating a dynamic and ever-changing landscape. It was a place where immigrants from all over the world came to chase their dreams, bringing with them their own cultures, traditions, and aspirations. They worked hard, often in challenging conditions, to build a better life for themselves and their families. Adding their own unique threads to the rich tapestry of the city, they contributed to its vibrant and diverse culture. Cultural festivals and parades celebrated this diversity, showcasing the many different traditions and customs that made New York so unique. But on that fateful day, the tapestry unraveled. The city that had once been so full of life and energy was brought to its knees. The cause of the apocalypse is lost to time, a mystery that may never be fully understood. The cause of the apocalypse is lost to time, a mystery whispered in hushed tones around flickering candlelight. Some say it was a natural disaster, a cataclysmic earthquake, or a storm of unprecedented fury. A mystery whispered in hushed tones around flickering candlelight. Some say it was a natural disaster, a cataclysmic earthquake, or a storm of unprecedented fury that brought the city to its knees. Some say it was a natural disaster, a cataclysmic earthquake, or a storm of unprecedented fury. The skies darkened and the earth shook, leaving destruction in its wake. Others speak of a man-made catastrophe, a nuclear war, or a deadly virus that swept across the globe. The once bustling streets were now empty, the vibrant neighborhoods turned into ghost towns. Whatever the cause, the effect was the same. The city that never slept was plunged into an eerie silence. The once bustling streets were now empty, the vibrant neighborhoods turned into ghost towns. New York City, the city that never sleeps, was plunged into an eerie silence. Times Square, once the epitome of energy and excitement, was now a desolate wasteland. The streets, once teeming with life, fell empty. Shops were closed, buildings stood abandoned, and the vibrant energy that had once defined the city was gone. The subways, the arteries of the city, became silent tombs. The trains that had once carried millions of passengers every day now sat empty and still, a haunting reminder of the city's former glory. The first few days after the bombs fell, or the earth shook, or the virus spread, must have been pure chaos. But chaos, as they say, is a ladder. And in the weeks and months that followed, a new order began to emerge from the ashes. The survivors, those lucky or unlucky enough to have weathered the storm, found themselves in a world turned upside down. Imagine emerging from the wreckage, blinking in the unfamiliar sunlight. Gone are the familiar sounds of the city that never sleeps. The roar of traffic, the wail of sirens, the chatter of pedestrians. In their place is an unsettling silence, broken only by the whisper of the wind through shattered glass and the rustle of rats scavenging among the debris. The air, once thick with the smell of exhaust fumes and street food, now carries the acrid tang of smoke and decay. Buildings, once symbols of human ambition, lie in ruins, their steel skeletons twisted and broken. The streets, once a river of humanity, are now choked with rubble and debris. Yet amidst the devastation, life finds a way. The survivors, hardened by their ordeal, began the arduous task of rebuilding. The world they once knew had crumbled into dust, leaving behind a landscape of desolation and despair. Yet, amidst the ruins, a spark of determination ignited within them. They knew that to survive, they had to rebuild, not just their homes, but their very way of life. With no electricity, no running water, and no communication with the outside world, they were forced to rely on their instincts and their ingenuity. Every day was a struggle, a test of their resilience and resourcefulness. They had to find new ways to light their homes, to cook their food, and to stay warm during the cold nights. They crafted tools from scraps, turning the remnants of the old world into the building blocks of the new. They scavenged for food and supplies, seeking shelter in the skeletal remains of buildings that once scraped the sky. The once bustling cities were now silent, their towering structures reduced to ghostly silhouettes. Every trip into the ruins was fraught with danger, but it was a risk they had to take. They searched for anything that could be of use: canned food, medical supplies, even old books that could teach them forgotten skills. They formed communities, bound together by shared loss and the will to survive. In these small enclaves, they found solace and strength in each other. They shared stories of the past, dreams of the future, and the burdens of the present. Together, they faced the challenges of their new reality, finding hope in their unity. In the absence of formal government, new hierarchies emerged based on strength, cunning, or simply the ability to provide. Leadership was no longer about titles or wealth, but about the ability to inspire and protect. Those who could hunt, build, or heal became the new pillars of society, guiding their communities through the darkness. Those who had once been at the margins of society found themselves thrust into positions of leadership. The old world had overlooked their potential, but in this new world, their unique skills and perspectives were invaluable. They rose to the occasion, proving that true leadership comes from within, not from external validation. The skills and knowledge that had seemed so commonplace in the old world became invaluable. How to grow food, how to purify water, how to build shelter. These basic skills, once taken for granted, were now the keys to survival. They learned to cultivate the land, to find clean water sources, and to construct sturdy shelters from the debris. Every small victory was a step towards reclaiming their lives. Doctors and nurses, once commonplace, were now more precious than gold, their skills desperately needed in a world where a simple infection could prove fatal. They worked tirelessly, often with limited supplies, to care for the sick and injured. Their knowledge and compassion became the lifeline for many, a beacon of hope in a world overshadowed by uncertainty. Step by step, inch by inch, these survivors began to rebuild their lives. It was a slow and painstaking process, but with each passing day, they grew stronger and more resilient. They learned to adapt, to innovate, and to persevere. The bonds they formed with each other became the foundation upon which they built their new world. For they had learned the hardest lesson of all, that even in the face of apocalypse, hope could bloom in the most unlikely of places. In the cracks of the concrete, amidst the rubble, small signs of life began to emerge. These tiny miracles reminded them that no matter how dire the circumstances, there was always a reason to keep going. Hope, like the flowers that grew in the desolation, was a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity.